Look at Infernal Shrines being locked in here, and TheOne in this current season have yet to win a single match in this battleground, which is quite stunning to me because it's by far the most popular map, and any team should be able to win at least a game every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, most teams sit at about a 40% win rate on this map, sometimes down to 30, except for the top teams.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that TheOne have never been able to take a victory on it. So, once again, my score leaning is a 2-0 to TheOne. We never actually asked what your score was.
I'm going to predict a 2-0 for KT. I really think they...
Okay. I definitely think that's possible. I'm simply going off the fact that TheOne beat RPG and KT beat Hot Lady, and in my opinion, TheOne achieved a better victory, a more standing victory. But once again, the RPG have been a little inconsistent. So let's see if I'm correct or whether I am way off.
Yeah, the main reason why I'm leaning towards a 2-0 here is because I think KT have finally found their rhythm. I think they are bringing a lot of momentum up in this series. And I just like Gentro, man. I'm just going to be honest. I like Gentro.
He's great, dude. If I could just vote for Gentro on his own, I would do so.
Yeah.
But in this case, not going to. As TheOne hovering over a Tasban, this would be the most base one. They were actually hovering over a Tyrande for a second. Do they know something we don't, or were they just clicking around while making their decision?
We have yet to see Tyrande making a strong statement in the HGC channel. We have seen her
once and lost.
Exactly. She had not. She didn't have a lot of success in the past, let's put it this way, whereas in other regions, you know, in EU and in A respectively, the Tyrande just came up and resurged out of nowhere and is now having great success. And hey, KT!
It's been a very elfless phase that we've been having so far. KT's sort of been picked a little bit. Tyrande, very, very little. Malfurion has dropped off quite a significant amount.
Yeah.
The elves are just going to be picked less. The only elf that's still getting a huge amount of focus is Illidan.
So, here's the thing, Tetcher. Would you go as far and say that the reign of double support is officially over, with Europe falling, you know, abandoning it more and more, with Korea not going for it in every single game? Or would you say that China, if they were to send teams like, let's say, CE, SPT, and, I don't know, to BlizzCon, and still going for that kind of old-fashioned double support style, do you think they would have a chance, or do you think they're kind of getting outraced then with a new meta?
I don't think it's dead. I think it's going to become more and more situational while other meta evolves. I think with the new patch, it's going to be dealt a devastating blow.
Okay, and why do you think so?
Because Morales is going to see a lot more play in that shield removal.
Gotcha. Here we go. Okay. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. I think we're on the verge of seeing double support becoming less and less, to the point where it might even get extinct, or at least just become a niche strategy for certain compositions, right? And me personally, I'm ready. My body is ready to see more standard compositions, aside from the usual Auriel Uther, Auriel Rhaegar, or whatever else you have with a Tassadar. So I'm kind of digging it, and especially go for it.
I just want to see just not Valor. Like, Valor is, at this point, I would be confident in saying that Valor has at least a 99% involvement rate in the last couple of weeks we have had in HGC China. In fact, I can probably find a way to confirm that. But I want to see Cassia, I want to see even Tyke. I'd set up a Tychus at this point, just something different. Lunara's fine, it's nice seeing her, but bring back Raider, bring back Mages. I want to see some Jada plays, but right now, it's just Valor, and Valor's cool and heavy micro, but I want to see something different.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised to see that Blizzard hasn't thought about any Valor changes. Doesn't have to be nerfs all the way through. Maybe just some changes of how certain talents work, or how certain abilities work, or maybe just buffing other assassins. I mean, with the Kel'Thuzad update that went live in Europe today, we're already kind of seeing a couple of changes to Jaina, which make her a lot more viable. Chromie probably going to be very powerful as well still. So just gently touch the Valor and make her less dominant in professional play.
So I was incorrect about the 99%. She has an 81% involvement rate.
Which is still insane.
36 out of 44 matches Valor has been picked or banned in. And she has a 52% win rate.
It's pretty insane. Almost becoming the new Genji at this point. Just that she doesn't see priority in bans all the time.
Also, apparently she... there's an interesting chart here that I didn't know existed. Win rate versus game duration.
Okay.
Which is really interesting. And apparently Vala has a 62% win rate if the game is less than 10 minutes long.
There we go.
If the game is upwards of 25 minutes, she only has a 37% win rate.
So she falls off in the late game a little bit, it seems. But for the most part, I think that Vala games, if it's going well with the double support, they don't last that long, and as such, snowball pretty crazy.
That's a fair shout. But yeah, it seems that Vala's really solid in quick games, but she doesn't scale as well to the late. We already knew this. She doesn't scale as well to late game as heroes like Lunara or even Nazeebo. Maybe we'll see the return of him one day. For now, though, Noob and Rhaegar are on the board. That does lower the chance of a Nazeebo. Raises the chance of a Li Ming, though, for Laser That Cocoon. The new party game kids.
Cutting the cocoon with raw arcane power is definitely the way to go. It's by far the fastest way of dealing with it, unless you have, I don't know, like a Tassador constantly using his tickle beam on it.
Tyke a stim drone.
Tyke a stim drone, yeah, okay.
Here's someone else who's quite good at Hey, different assassins! Cassia comes out against Vala. Now, Cassia is actually reasonably good against Vala, and it's a double. It's still technically double tank, double support assassin. It's just a different support. Zarya actually is the pseudo support here. This is interesting. This is different, Kendrick.
I'm pretty sure that KT just won the viewers' hearts and ours as well for just switching it up a little bit, even going for the Pirate Cassia. That's the one true way of playing her. And the Zarya, of course, has always had a soft spot in my heart because the few times I played Overwatch, especially when the game was released back a year ago, man, Zarya used to be my main, my girl, my bae. And yeah, I still feel very, very lovely towards her.
We have opened up the possibility for ticking off the list, Kendrick.
You mean the Graviton?
Yes, Graviton. It could be. There's a tiny chance. It's never going to happen. Valeton's here. Hugo's got that. So it is double support. It's not double tank here. They are just going for a second melee here. So this also gives them some split push potential to counteract the Dahaka.
Into a Cassia at that, so Hugo must feel super confident in his ability to play an Illidan, and who can blame him after such a dominant performance a few days ago. I still think that there is plenty of counters available against that Illidan on the side of KT. First and foremost, of course, the Cassia, then the Dahaka, who mostly deals ability damage, and even Uther could go Divine Storm to just keep the Illidan checked and stunned.
Quite possibly. Interesting to see what way they are going to play this here. Someone mentioning the Graviton will see play when Jaina returns. Graviton will probably see play when Mages return, is my prediction for it.
Absolutely
and they'll
true.
probably, I expect Blizzard will also adjust it to actually make it just harder just to dash out of it, because so many heroes can just leave it.
Exactly. I think they should either give it a little bit more, you know, crowd control efficiency, or maybe up the damage a little bit. Like, maybe give it damage right at the get-go. After level 10, of course, it doesn't deal damage, only with level 20.
Give you energy.
Yeah. Or give you a sick amount of energy.
That'd be cool. That'd be nice. Let it be let it be hugely impactful. Like, the other one is just zoning. That's basically all it is, but it's enough to... The fact that just zoning can be what should be a huge wombo setup is slightly disappointing.
Love that close zoom in on the Genshiro, by the way, showing him in his full glory. If only I could have a haircut like that, I would go nuts. Either way, guys, we're going to dive right into the action here between TheOne, bringing in a couple of fans here as well, and KT on the right-hand side in the reds. Stay tuned. And as we dive into the action here on Infernal Shrines for the first time of this day, we see TheOne in the blues. We have Hugo on the Illidan, Lucky plays Nubarak, Meng plays Rhaegar, Zyren plays the Ariel, and last but not least, we have the Vala as well.
Played by he as KT are on the right, T-Die on the Cassia, Neptune on Tahaka, Genshiro on Uther, Sea-Ink on the Zarya, and Butcher is playing the Tyrael. Searing Light coming in for Ariel, but I can't be happy about it because Pleb Horse.
Well, it's hard to please Tetcher these days, as you guys can hear, but I do agree.
Hard! Just like to mount! It's easy to please me. I'm very easy. Please don't take that out of context, chat. As we do see a couple poke them in for Cassia, who has gone for those bouncing attacks.
Well, only Tetcher and I know what's gonna happen after the stream is over today. Although I'm probably gonna stick to playing some heroes instead. Sorry, man.
Good plan. Good plan. As we do see, Feel the Heat coming in from Seeing,
nice.
Which is really nice versus Illidan. If you can time it after his evasion, then you burn through him so quickly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Feel the heat. The more melee characters there are in the enemy team, as a rule of thumb, the more value you're going to get from that talent. Because if enemy heroes are standing closer to Zarya, her auto attacks are going to hit 50% harder. And, you know, with a fast attacking laser beam, that is a lot of pain that could be delivered. So let's see how much of an impact Sea-Ink is going to have. Sea-Ink, by the way, normally the main ranged assassin player, but of course with T-Die also being a formidable flex, the Cassia is in good hands, let's put it this way.
Indeed it is. For the moment, a green text has appeared on the screen. I think that's probably a request for a pause, as that is what we have had.
Hopefully nothing too serious. But we're just going to dive right back here into this out-of-game scene and Tetcher, entertain the masses for a bit, because I'm going to have to lower the shades in my room, otherwise there's too much sunlight coming in out of nowhere.
I could attempt to entertain the masses in, I have no idea. I dance, but there is no webcam. I'll give an update on that, seeing as you guys have been incredibly good about not asking about it, and that's made me quite happy. So a quick update on webcam in general. Once again, still have one, don't have internet to run it. Cool, updated there. But a couple people have suggested that if they were to get jobs that they're currently looking at, then I would be welcome to move in with them. So there is potential for in the next half a year, maybe next year, I will be able to be actually on video if I move. There was actually a little bit of talk about maybe with Arcana, if he can find a full HGC team, and if I can be comfortable enough to be able to pay that rent.
That's actually kind of cool. If that doesn't work out, Tetcher, I'm just going to have to apply a couple of upgrades. And eventually you're going to be moving your mouth just inconsistently with your actual talk flow. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Actually, that reminds me so much of Westworld, a series that I've been watching over the last few weeks. I'm just gonna build my own Tetcher bot, and it's gonna be glorious.
I'm already a bot, dude. Just upload me to a humanoid form.
Yeah, there we go. So Tetcher, you're basically the upgraded version of Jayhow, because they managed to put in equal casting capacity in just a shorter body and less surface, you know.
Yeah, I'm Jayhow Light. I'm the Jayhow S.
There we go. Tetcherstein is being reanimated. There we go, Bindabot.
Yeah, he's a little more RAM than me, though. He can take on more tasks at the same time.
Probably. Oh man, I miss watching Jayhow. I think we can actually. Oh, we could actually watch him yesterday though, and Monday with the Open Division, right? Do you have any information on what's happening in the Open Division from NA right now? I only know that Heroes Hype is doing pretty well with Crowin, I think, in the team. So
I think so. I watched some of the games yesterday. Let me bring up the bracket, and I can tell you. I can see what I can tell you. I can't remember. I did also fall asleep because it's really late for me to watch that.
Yeah. I like when Heineken in the chat also said Madame Tussauds will be happy to finally get the Tatcha statue back. No, I didn't break in Madame Tussauds.
Why not? That's where they keep my real body.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Have you actually been there, Tetra? Is that one of the things yeah?
Yes, I have. It's meh. It's statues made of wax. They're cool. Some are more realistic than others.
I was going to say, that's probably one of the things that, you know, native British people will probably not do. Or native Londoners, I should say.
Yeah, but I'm not a native Londoner.
There we go.
Londoner?
that actually a word? You told me you could just add ER to any word and that's English, like mercenary or mercenarier.
Well, that was also a lie because I can't grammar. Yes, you were correct. Heroes Half is the team that is currently doing well, which has McIntyre and Crowan on it, and Arthalon actually. So a lot of the older legends. There's also Donkeys R Us, which is probably one of my favorite team names, which is the LZ Gamer.
Donkeys R Us.
Donkeys R Us.
There we go. I like it.
Yeah. Gin Hots. America has some really cool team names. Imported Support are still doing well. I can't remember if this. I don't know if they still have Hoss on the team. Checking now, no, they don't. But yeah, there's a couple really good teams still going there right now. Heroes Half are probably my favorites to make it to Crucible.
Oh yeah, they could easily take on teams like Even in Death, in my opinion. Gonna be very, very interesting and very, very nice to observe. Even the former Naventing roster, I think they're called Lag Force right now. They can be beaten by the teams like Heroes Hearth.
Yeah, I like Dread. I can't remember. I think it was last week where he just made one of my favorite just pointless observations. Because as casters, we're masters of pointless observations. But he pointed out how Even in Death were ruining the aesthetically pleasing, growing lines where the longer your team name was in HGC, the better you were doing. And basically it went down from shortest to longest, with the longest being the best, except for Even in Death, who were in last.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. You ruined the aesthetics.
Yeah, exactly. Can't have those guys in the league for that. I totally side here with Dreadnought. Can't believe that's still a thing. By the way, speaking of new teams and new talent in general in the competitive scene, I can't help but feel that teams like TheOne and BTG, Beyond the Game in particular, kind of nullified the fears of some people who were like, oh my god, eStar is no longer in the league now. We're not going to have decent teams coming after them, especially after seeing Wukong Gaming last season. But I think that teams like BTG and TheOne stepping up basically proved us all wrong, because I was concerned too. I was like, can there really be more teams that play on the same level as the current HGC teams? And the answer is yes, there can.
Indeed. It's nice. Like, I honestly think that the level of play in China is probably, assuming that we don't have too many more roster shakeups like we have the last two phases, I honestly think the entire level of the league is going to just keep growing.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, like, this is my thoughts on why currently Europe is doing so well. Because there is so much consistent competition between a lot of top teams. Korea's starting to get the same, and I think that's going to make them grow quite a bit as well. But China, assuming they can get all their players there, should have some, maybe not this BlizzCon, maybe next mid-season Brawl. I think they're going to start putting on some really scarily good performances.
Oh yeah, right now I would actually put HGC China in terms of overall competition level and skill level at least on the same page as NA, probably a little bit above NA, because I don't think teams like Even in Death could beat any of the HGC China teams right now. I'm just going to step out there and claim that, but I think it's true.
As an overall, I would agree with you. I think the overall level of HGC China is better than NA, but I would definitely argue that Gale Force, Tempo Storm, Roll20 have some great chances to compete against CE and
absolutely,
SBT.
Absolutely.
I honestly think that just a China versus America fight would be pretty spectacular in terms of the HGC if just those two went up against each other.
Yeah, in real life it would probably be very scary, but in terms of in terms of HGC, we definitely want to have that rivalry being solved.
We'll have a Heroes tournament. We'll call it Top Trumps for no reasons at all. Illidan has somehow died. How did this happen? I assume drags are involved.
Can you give me the best British version of what happened?
The British version of what happened?
Yeah, there's a meme going on. I don't know where the sound clip came from, but there's a British guy, I think there's a British guy saying, what happened? And you don't really understand anything.
What happened? That's an old one. That's a very old one.
I don't even know where it originated from, but...
Yeah, I don't either, but I've seen it quite a bit. But yeah, I know what you mean there, but I thought you wanted me to go over how he died in a British accent. Well, what you're seeing here, Kendrick, is he was pushing in the top lane with his Rhaegar, and then the Dahaka came out and he licked him one, and he wasn't expecting it, was he? Then he get pulled in, he died. What an idiot. What a numpty. Is numpty a word the Germans are aware of? Is that what you guys all hear?
I don't know, but that last phrase, one idiot, that just killed me, dude.
You are welcome.
Please
but now
save me,
though,
go
only
ahead.
one kill over the KT. They are holding the line for the moment as they just continue to rotate. Mid lane being a little bit neglected. Tyrael is really just the one holding down the fort there.
Yep, there we go. That's going to be a pretty interesting shrine phase because arcane shrines always seem to be highly favored, and rightfully so. Look at all the protection on Zarya. You gotta be kidding me. She just refuses to die. The heals, the shields, it all goes well.
Hilton wants it though!
You gotta be kidding me.
Clutch heal from Uther! Feel the heat, Hugo! The Fed nearly finishes him off, but he survives. But Rhaegar had to go very far forward to heal him. Everyone on both teams dropping low, but no one dies. Full lightning shield build for Rhaegar, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, that is just double support versus double support in a nutshell. Although, technically speaking, KT doesn't have a double support, but Zarya counts as one. But the heals and shields from Tyrael and Uther and Zarya were just incredibly powerful, and Zarya just refused to die. But in the end, it was still a victory for TheOne in terms of who secures the Punisher. However, no chills and no time wasted here for KT. They sent Dahaka back in the top lane. Bottom lane is also getting defended by Cassia, and I think it's Uther. Yeah. No, Uther came back to the middle. My bad.
Yeah, it's Cassia, Tyrael,
it's Cassia, Tyrael, and Zarya. There we go.
Indeed, who are eating all the lasers, but that's actually just giving Sieg energy. Surprise, Nubrak gets a bit of a knock-up. Beautiful pull, by the way. Butcher with the absolutely perfectly timed teleport to prevent the Punisher from stunning him, and they're able to defend that relatively well. We do also see the extra, I believe that one's damage coming in from the Detainment Strike on Ariel.
It's a slow. It's a slow after you knock someone
yellow's
against the wall.
Yellow's damage, red is slow, which is weird, but fine.
Here we go. And
like, when I see red, I definitely think slow and not stop.
There we go. Very interesting talent, by the way, coming in here for Cassia. She went for the Inner Light, I think it's called. Don't quote me on that, though. But what it does is, whenever she receives a stun, then an immediate instance of her W is getting dropped, so people around her are getting blinded, and of course the radius of those blinds is also getting increased by 25%. So that alone is a counter to any form of the hunt plays. If Illidan wants to go for a target, he should definitely not choose the Cassia.
This could be very true, but there's also potential for lots of noob stuns, so that could go on cooldown quite quickly. If not, the radius itself is still pretty reasonable. She has enough protection to not need a leeching plasma. The ring of the leech. See, it works out in her favor. And here we have what I like to call a mistake. We are seeing the globe and cost reduction for Zyran on Ariel. The talent is called Glimmer of Hope. And I don't like that because it doesn't synergize. It doesn't synergize with Searing, and it doesn't synergize with what he will inevitably be taking level 16, the Reservoir of Hope.
I don't like it either. I think for the most part, for the majority of the game, it's probably going to be a dead talent, especially during team fights. You cannot have a guaranteed globe to really help you out in that regard. So I agree. I really would have loved to see either the Empathic Link or the Energized Cord instead. Yeah,
Energized Cord definitely my favorite in this scenario, but I need to stay a little bit further away potentially from Dahaka. For now, Butcher taking lots of damage. He may actually fall here. Sieg tanking a couple shots from the fort just to get some extra laser damage. Butcher has managed to escape, but that might mean that we see the death of Seeing because he gets focused down. Just drops as much damage as he can. T-Dye goes far too deep. Why did they stay?
I think T-Dye basically just made a gamble, and he lost the Russian roulette here because he thought he could blow up Hehe on the Vala in time, but since he didn't, he paid there with his own life. I don't understand that move, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you just have to answer those kinds of things with, because China.
Because China is usually a appropriate answer.
It's a good way. It's a good way of answering those things.
It is. It really is. That is going to be the Bursting Light for Cassia. There's so many light talents in this game.
It is the Bursting Light indeed. So
hooray! Surge of Light. No, I was wrong. I double checked. Too many lights.
There we
Good
go.
Lord, it's like Christmas as we see the Crystal Aegis coming in from Ariel, Ancestral Healing from Rhaegar, Rain of Vengeance, Cocoon, and I would recommend Metamorphosis this
You know
time.
what Bursting
the
Light
hunt
was?
is going to be countered.
I think that was the level 7 talent for Oriel that got deleted.
Yes, it was. I think you might be right. So, Illidan holding his level 10 for the moment. He's currently split soaking, so the hunt is more likely if he's required to join his team. But I honestly think Metamorphosis might be better for him here.
Yeah.
We will see what he goes for. Punisher's pulled over, one tower goes down, and the rest of the one just pulled back. They're actually going to try and sneak this camp.
Also, very cool to see that Gensho and the Uther adjusted a little bit to the amount of stuns the one currently has with Guardian of the Ancient Kings. We're much more used to seeing the cleanse for the most part, and I think Illidan is not willing. Illidan is not willing to go for the hunt and join them potentially here for this fight, so they retreat the one that is, and they're happy and wait to fight another day.
Indeed, they knew their opponents also had level 10. They were scared about a Dahaka roam, which might actually happen before Illidan. And as such, they pulled back, played the safe move. They don't want to take unnecessary risks. Uther, though, is also holding his heroic, very interestingly, potentially for a Divine Storm if Illidan does hunt in.
Exactly. I think we're going to see a Divine Storm, depending on how aggressively Illidan wants to join those fights. And it's so cool to see these face-offs between two heroes on opposing teams, waiting until the first hero makes a move. Either way, I think for Uther, it's not really that crucial. I think both Divine Shield and Storm are going to have their uses. We're just going to have to wait until the next Shrine phase, because I think then it's going to be decided. However, KT, I wouldn't hate them looking for a fight before that actually happens, because very likely is the one going to be 13 with a talent advantage, and then they're going to have to wait even longer.
Potentially indeed. So, both teams rotating, holding for the moment as mid is pressured by the one with their small lead. This is a long time to hold heroics. Level 13 nearly available for the one at this point.
And both
very
teams,
patient.
Yeah, both teams fairly inactive, or should I say very patient in professional play. It's not really what we're used to seeing in HGC China, but the team comps don't really allow a lot of brawling in the first place unless Illidan fully commits, so I'm not sure what KT does here. Like, KT, they need to do this, right? If they give up the Shrine, which they're gonna do 100% because they can't compete with 13, they need to push in a different lane. They need to send 4 people, 5 even, if they want to commit fully to this, into the top lane, push down that fort, and at least catch up in XP. But typical for Chinese teams, they're not playing this global macro style. They want to brawl, they want to hesitate, they want to just poke back and forth all the time, which I don't agree with here, to be frank.
Illidan's off to split push again. He still has to take it level, like, if he's going to top lane when there's a fight in the bottom shrine area, he's got to have picked the hunt, right? Like, even though he's rotating down, he is just running down here. He's holding so patiently, and Uther is doing the exact same thing.
This game defies all the rules so far. The team that doesn't have 13 still goes for a fight. Yeah, and this is a dead Cassia. No way to save her.
Yep, stun's already been used, so she doesn't have the blind. Actually, it came off cooldown. Expulsion zone, actually, and Divine Shield picked up. She's still alive for the moment. Uther is the one who's dropped. Cassia goes down. And we do... sorry, Zarya is the one who goes down. Cassia, in fact, lived.
So, both Illidan and Uther decided to finally go for their heroic abilities. We see the Metamorphosis after all and the Divine Shield. But once again, I do not understand why Kudos Top KT win for that team fight. They were actually out-positioned. They were out-leveled as well in terms of talents. They should have gone for global pressure, maybe go for the mid or for the top forward, try to bounce it out, and by the time the one would have finished the shrine, they could have fought on even terms. But as it is, they tried to poke, they tried to fight, and they pay for it dearly.
Punisher pulled to mid, but not actually into range of the keep, so it doesn't actually take any extra damage here. All that does is buy them time, as the Punisher still pretty healthy. They may go for core here. The blind was pretty good. Expulsion zone is also nice, but it's too late. Zarya is already down. No more shielding. T-Die gets completely deleted. Butcher's been baited out. The Cocoon is buying them time. It's only Genshuo in that, well, he can't do anything. It's only the sustain heroes left who can't do anything to stop this relentless onslaught. And that is going to be GG as the one takes game number 1. I
am quite shocked. I did not expect KT to make these kinds of mistakes after looking so strong last week against Host Lady, who I would actually consider to be slightly above the one, despite the rankings in the table don't show it. But that was a very sloppy game by them. They did not play the map. They did go for pretty unnecessary team fights, lost the keep. Even the keeps they shouldn't have died for. They should have defended the core. They did not. They got caught over and over again, and as such, they rightfully lost the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was very convincing by TheOne. They're showing themselves to be a contender. They are very much like solid mid-tier, as we're seeing right now. They aren't good enough to beat BTG, as we saw last week. Good enough to beat RPG when RPG is not playing very well. They tied versus Hot's Lady, which is interesting considering that KT beat them. So it very much seems to be like a bit of a mixed contention between all those teams.
Yeah, that's very true. So for KT, I want them to stabilize, and I want them to basically be aware of what's going on around them. It looked to me like they weren't ever sure what they actually wanted to do with the heroes they've got. Also, it looked to me that they still have a lot of catching up to do on how to play Infernal Shrines when you're behind. Infernal Shrines, for a reason, is so popular in the competitive scene because you have those combat mechanics. You can actually get sometimes more value from not getting the shrine rather than just getting it and wasting so much time on the skeletons. You can push elsewhere, and they did have the globals to do so, right? They had the Tahaka, but it always felt like they were not utilizing the tools they had. So just, you know, get back to zero, reset the whole machine, and just start over again.